listening and watching across the world. No doubt the incidents of targeted attacks on vehicles organized in the last week military police as well our security yet another student of many organized cross-border incursions. Whichever of the theories one ascribes to, the clarity required is to assure that the NPP-led government of President Akufo-Addo is solidly committed to the security, safety, and peace of citizens, because that is the bedrock of socio-economic development. Without peace and security, there can be no accelerated development. To that end, the Akufo-Addo administration has been rolling out a careful mix of policy, resources, advocacy, security capacity across the services. Crisis management and outlines the security aspects and responsibilities of ministries and agencies. Published in 2020 by the National Security Ministry, I recommend it as a must-read for media practitioners and security analysts in order to better appreciate where we are as a nation in terms of awareness and preparation. It will really help the media to better inform their audiences about security issues and the analysis of implications for stability. Ladies and gentlemen, focusing on the police, over 1,000 vehicles have been supplied them since 2017. Beyond that, police surveillance cameras give us the benefit of reviewing the car and armors. Equipment and working environments are being enhanced. Personnel numbers are indeed up constantly. Most recently, the share of ongoing recruitment of 11,000 personnel into the security sector. The passage of the Democratic Related Affairs Act 2019, Act remarks of Captain Smart come into perspective. Using the most extreme of language, he denigrated government efforts at leading the investigation and openly abused the Honorable Western Regional Minister in his capacity as chair of the Regional Security Council, RECSEC. He took the evidence of the orchestrated plan at face value and used it to bring down the work of the police, undermine the authority of RECSEC, and generally whip up negative public sentiments against the government. Worse, he cast ethnic aspersions against some politicians. That approach made the work of the police very difficult. Though the police invested a lot of resources in money, men, and equipment to get to the bottom of the matter, the yellow journalism of Captain Smart almost triumphed over the facts. The police had to use multiple medical results to confirm that the lady was not pregnant. Even then, the police were not believed until confessions followed. It is evident that yellow journalism can create national security crisis. It happened in Rwanda. Hate speech on radio triggered a massive genocide. Currently, Ghana boasts a stable political environment underpinned by democratic credentials spanning 29 years of multi-party participation. Part of those credentials is a free media. However, mercenary journalism of some journalists into editorial facts. These pseudo facts are not always aimed at eliciting the truth, but are couched in ways that easily undermine political credibility and encourage attacks on political stability. Even more pernicious is the practice of some media practitioners deliberately mining negative inferences from public pronouncements and delivering flaming headlines as facts from these inferences. Sometimes downright lies are published. Attempts to rebut such lies and inferences are met with torrents of abuse and further lies. Though politicians are used to the tactics, the cumulative effect is to demean public officer and policy credibility in order to demonstrate media power over the governance space. Extremist journalism creates a climate of feverish inadequacy. It then feeds on the discontent so created. It seeks to convince individuals that they have never been worse off and that the source of all their problems is the target in the sight of the journalist, more often than not, an institution of state or politically exposed person related to governance and governance institutions of state. When such efforts backfire, as it has in Takoradi, then the media house or journalist involved ought to have the decency to own up and apologize to the people who have been misled. People who consume media products deserve respect, the respect of fairness and objectivity. Ideally, media practice ought not to elevate itself above the constitution it seeks to serve. A practitioner cannot be holier than the constitution by virtue of control of the opinion space. Such a posture does not advance the ends of transparency and accountability. Indeed, a media practitioner ought to be transparent and accountable in seeking to enforce transparency and accountability from others. The utility of social media as a platform for individuals to propagate opinions into the public space makes it even more imperative that consumers are better served. Being broad-based, falsity published on social media is difficult to recall or correct. So journalists of the ilk of Captain Smart ought to be seen for the danger they pose to all of society if they are not measured and expect their vile product to be swallowed hook, line, and sinker. Ladies and gentlemen, we also have the experience of frustrated mob violence. This is where aggrieved people turn their anger on public and private facilities and associated officials, public and private, and visit violence on them. In our democracy, violence ought not to be the first option of self-expression. Indeed, discipline ought to be the watchword if we are all to enjoy the freedom that comes with rights. Moreover,
avenues for participation keep growing in our democracy, including informal structures and the media. We recognize, of course, that historically, liberty has not been easily won. Demonstrations demanding expansion of rights have sometimes degenerated into violence. But deliberate acts of vandalism aimed at harming persons and destroying property to vent feelings against policy decisions are wrong and must be vehemently condemned. Beyond condemnation, punitive action must also be taken as a deterrent. Such actions have been with us for a long time, but the NPP abhors it, and the president in the presidency of Nana Akufo-Addo has legislated against it. Incidents on all sides of the political divides in Ghana have shown this abuse of rights. One may recollect the burning of billboards and destruction of property that prevented the late President Mills from entering Tamari metropolis in order to force his hand to make a particular political appointment to his cabinet. Recently, youth agitations in Nigeria led to major public safety issues. The Honorable Minister of the Interior has received a report of the fact-finding committee, and he is set to act on it. One of the most significant recommendations of the fact-finding committee in the Nigeria probe is the need for standard operating procedures, SOPs, in crowd control, especially where more than one security agency is at work. This recommendation finds voice in the National Security Strategy, which promotes coordination and alignment of reporting structures. Even before the ink on the Nigeria report is dry, we have reports of NEDCO offices in Tamale being vandalized and staff attacked. The NEDCO attack shows that the approach of violence to issue resolution is not confined to political matters. It would appear to be the norm as far as some sections of our society are concerned. In any event, the NPP would like to see its members and sympathizers, as well as the youth, move away from violence as a tool of participation and to adopt dialogue and interaction. The party has structures from community level right up to national level. Every polling station the Electoral Commission creates is mirrored by the party, with officers to attend the political needs of the people who vote at that polling station. Currently, we have 5 party officers at the polling station made up of a chairman, secretary, organizer, women organizer, and youth organizer. We also have coordinators monitoring every 10 polling stations on average. These structures are supposed to mobilize local opinion and provide feedback to the Constituency Executive Committee made up of 17 members, including the Member of Parliament, where the party has one. It is in this context that the party refuses to accept what happened in Swaman district during the confirmation process. The violence is unacceptable and must not be countenanced under any circumstances. Having encouraged all assembly members of all shades of opinion to come together and proactively engage the nominees for MMDC, we find it unacceptable that anybody who believes in and identifies with our party will condone violence in the confirmation process. Of course, we accept that a few persons who are nominees may be entirely rejected, but we cannot accept that a resolution is a resort to violence. Interestingly, NPP officers and officials are targeted as sources of discontent when the process is supposed to be non-partisan. When the president, in his capacity as president of the whole republic, exercises his prerogative to nominate, why is the NPP the target of discontent? The drama around nomination and confirmation just goes to reinforce the need to have elections at that level to ensure all opinions are fairly exercised through the term. In conclusion, we wish to commend the police on their more proactive public posture. They are engaging in real time and sharing the path of their progress. We urge them to sustain this level of communication. We also urge other public service agencies, especially utilities, to engage swiftly on their challenges affecting service delivery in order to forestall misunderstanding. Above all, we commend the police for their swift and dogged investigation of the Takoradi matter and hope that they will bring it to the appropriate conclusion. Furthermore, we support the police to ensure swift action in incidents of mob destruction of property and physical attack in order to terminate violence as a method of resolution of public grievances. The NPP is ready to partner well-meaning citizens to expand spaces for dialogue in the democracy that we are building together. Sustaining economic growth and social cohesion depends on discipline in exercising our freedoms. Your freedom is guaranteed when you guarantee your neighbor's freedom. Ladies and gentlemen, permit me to remind you of the start of our regional annual delegates conferences today from the Savannah region, from where it will go to Bono by tomorrow. As I speak, the General Secretary of the party is participating in the Savannah Regional Conference. The list of dates for the various regions have been published. The conferences will go on throughout October to be followed by the National Annual Delegates Conference in December in Kumasi. The mass registration exercise is expected to end today, but we ask all polling stations and constituency offices to continue to make the books available for continued registration prior to and pending instructions to transfer the names to the constituency registers. Thank you very much for your attention. Anuanom ni adofo awie ehia na asɛmti tru ɛda yakoma so yenim sɛ da Ghana fo nyina akoma so na wotwe mienu ye atwam yi ɛyɛ bambo ɛho nsɛm sɛ bɛ ya ye damo a ye kɔ bɛyi sɛbe ye ho bɛ han ye na de ye kɔye ye dwumadie bibia no de bɛ no dwojo a sɛm bia entoye na nsɛn ye hu sɛ akronfremfo abokro no bi pete mu a na enyemre kra na eno nti niema pii akoso a ye gidi sɛ ɛwɔ se ɛda na die me nyina ye hu sɛ aposifo no nso ɛbɔ mo ho mmɔden aban ayɛ nhyehyɛe ama nhyehyɛe no dodo no a ɛfa aposifo ɛhyɛn de ye adwuma ɛfa akade de ye adwuma ɛfa abɛfo niema de abamu a ɛnɛ timi twamfo ni kwan ho ni nyina no na epese ɛda na de mi hu sɛ ɛwɔ sɛ prosifo no ye boa wo mo na ɔmo ye ɔmo adwuma na adwuma no kɔ tɔɔte ɛfisɛ ɔmo nko a entimi enye o ka sɛ wugya ama prosifo no nko a ensɛm ɛkɔ so fam no nye ni nyina ɛna ɔmo tie nti ehia sɛ ye boa wo mo na akade ye de ama ɔmo no ɔmo timi ye ɔmo adwuma na ɛsɔ ani nti bambo sem no ye srɛ obia ne ho aka bia no amanyokuo no ɛde sɛbe yakosɛm ɛbɛn abusua no emom na wɔsɛ adwuma no nso yɛboa prosi na wɔmo yɛ na ntitiw no sɛ yɛbɛboa prosi ama ɔma yɛ adwuma na ne kɛseɛ no gyina nsɛnkyerɛfoɔ so na deɛ yɛhu ne sɛ nsɛnkyerɛfoɔ no bi atu anamɔn bi a ɛkwan ɔmfa so bɔ ɔmo dawuro ka ɔmo nsɛm no ɛde hu mom ɛna ɛba na sɛ hu no ɛba a ehwan aban ɛne prosi animu nyam kɔfom nti prosi form yɛ asɛm bi ho adwuma ɛne aban panyimfo ɔmo ka ho wodi takorade asɛm yɛ si ye ɛyɛ mfanto ho a na kyɛ sɛ gidie bia ni ho a ɛdɔm ɛde hyɛ sɛ adwumadie no afi sɛ dɔm no ate biribi sononko ɛwɔ afri nsɛnkyerɛfoɔ ne ɔmo bɔ dawuro ɛno nti die prosifo no bɛso bia ɛbɛyɛ bia no ɛnso wɔ mo ani ɛno na yɛ kase ya hwɛ ni yi a sɛ suban no ɛbɔ man sɛ tɔkɔ so ɛde yɛn yadwen sɛ nsɛnkyerɛfoɔ ɛdi nokure ne kan ɛde yɛn yadwen sɛ nsɛnkyerɛfoɔ ɛsa nneɛmam ɛda deɛ yɛn yɛ kɔn do adi na yɛanhwɛ deɛ wɔ fam anaa deɛ bɛboa a deɛ bɛkɔ akɔsia ne sɛ da koro te hɔ a na nneɛma abunkam afa yɛ so ebi asi pɛn ɛne yɛ ka sɛ Rwanda obi ti radio so ene kasa ya na nkrofo gi tumu na omtinta masikan ena tinten omtwetwa wom ene nyamiadom omani mada ho atene na enise ebetu yen Ghana ansa na ehun sebe we nsentwereni a udi ohuni na ene ne bema gidie aba wo nsemu a okam efse yenyina na constitution no ewen yen se ebeye adwuma amanyofo constitution wen yen saa nso na tumi na wokura se sentwereni no constitution e de ma wo enso wuntimi mbɔ ho safohene kron entre enchen constitution no nti wo pɛ nukuredie ni pɛpɛ yo afiri de o wa ban mu afiri prosi ho no na wo nso so wakenya ho na nukure ni pɛpɛ yo no ɛna wo nso odi edi ukan ɛna wo ba wanim ɛno achi no ye hwɛ de ekoso a asɛm bi si ne fraban asoeye ana efiri asoeye bi ye aban adwuma na se mebunu bi ani nye ho a na afei no omakoto ahye saa mbia no asoeye ne so na omo asɛe niema no omaburu nipa sɛbe obi papa obi maame na aburo no poto afise ye ni nje de aban aka ana de asoeye no aye ho ɛno no na nseye ebi asi so amai yenya na ebegina ha na yesre omo a yabo mudin se omo meye MMDC nyina yesre omo so omo ne omo assembly man fo ntenase omo ni nkomo ansana aduru se assembly man fo beto omo so aba e kan ne sa no dodo no ekoso prom bibiri ekoso a ebi nya 100%, 93%, 86% ba fefefe na ba ku mienu bi wo ho a ato afomo a eno achi no asema efire chiri ba na enyono ewrem ebi ni so aman de si so aman a sebe amanyoku yenye ne de nipa ibae ma meburu bi akoto ahye ya so yeso aburu krofo ahye se hopoto emwaye ye MPP ani nyi sade no ye mampani ompesa ewa amanyosim ono osi adwin kese ene ye toatoa ne di eya amanyosem enye ketiketi ene de free SHS eba enye ketiketi na di agenda 111 ebeba nti opese ne bibia na ye moto nkomodie ekoso nkitahudie ekoso enu nti yesre aposifo bibi se asia mamu nsoso so enkrokro bia se oya manyo ni nti wa yesa no mfa ne hunni mfa mo nan sifo enye se beduru ba bi no bibia asem kitikiti bi besi bia no edom be bo omo ho ano na omakoye basabasa be kakra no ukọ adwuma nkura oyembe hyehye wo se edom bitimi abeto ahye so na omaye basabasa nti yesre se aposifo momo ni nkọ ho na bibisa no mobemo ni ayedin na mosia no ebebo aye nyina sa manyosem na yeye no yetretra akwan ya nkomodie ngitahudie ebedi daada baby bebre MPP say your polling station executives ewe bia polling station wo bia nti uhia bibi onti bibi ase ewe aban mu a utimi ban wo mu upusu wo mu a ombetimi omo nso nti ase a ombeba omo nchi abebusa na yedi nkita ho na ayefe chen se onti bibi ase a obefa ba na obese ade a na obebo obi a ono nso se be o ni party sel na aye tantantan ende ye ni nyew kra edi asem no ba wie no bo police fo na baso se na nse adwuma na omo ye no omama emu ahwam efa omo nkita hodie aye ntenten de omo ye bia no omo ye tinkantem nti eno nso eboa ema edom agitum se adwuma pa na omo ye o ye adwuma na nsi pikura na abo amania na amanebo no ko wawa eboa ema dom a omo ye mhihye omo akoma eba fom nti eno ye bom ho abaso pa de ba wie ye kra no ye kai mo se ye regional annual delegates conferences ye shase ye ne ewo Savannah region nti si ye kasai etwetwe ni panyi eye owura John Bodu owo Savannah na de aka ni nyina nso ye de atodwa dada uko internet social media be bia bo nse edidi so sa be bia ye sa adwumadie no enyina ubehunu na fe nso ene was say the trainer ye share see and quite no ɛwɔ sɛ nkɛba awieɛ deɛ ɛka ne sɛ kɔpem sɛ yɛbɛsan aka sɛ momfa din na moanya no ɛnkɔ constituency office na ɔmo no nso nkɔtwerɛ no wɔ mo book kɛseɛ no mu no yɛsrɛ mo a momma book no ɛnda mo hɔ obiara waka akyiri bi ɔpɛ sɛ ɔbɛtwerɛ ne din biara no wɔnya kwan atwerɛ ɛda mo ase paa ne awia yi a mobɛhyia yɛn ha mehyira yɛ nyinaa